Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Chad.
This episode, we watched The Keeper.
I don't wanna play in your yard.
Why does it always have to end? Is there any way to keep love alive? Do I even know this man? Is it his face I see? When I close my eyes. Or only a mask that he's wearing? Always there. Looking back at me. I think he's a keeper.
Why does it always have to end? Is there any way to keep love alive? Please. Do I even know this woman? Is it her face I see when I close my eyes? Or only a mask that she's wearing? Always there, looking back at me. I think she's a keeper.
Osgood Perkins is back.
And we don't know what the hell's going on.
I have been waiting for this film since I watched The Monkey and waited around. I was alone. It was midnight. I was alone in the theater. I was there standing on my way out of the theater when I heard weird melodic sounds and started seeing different images of women being shown on the screen, and it was just so haunting, the music that was playing, and it was just really fucked up if you saw that teaser. And I was like, oh, okay, The Keeper. The thing that's interesting about the film is that they did long legs and they were thrilled. They were excited. Everyone loved each other. They loved the crew. They loved the actors they were working with. They were on the high that, they got on with Neon and everything was great. And everything happening over in Hollywood with all the strikes and everything messed up there and delayed The Monkey. So while they were there, they were like, hey, want to make another movie? And hey, since you're gonna be shooting with me, Tatiana Maslany was gonna be shooting with them for The Monkey. They were like, you want to make this movie? And she was like, sure. And then they made The Keeper, which is directed by Perkins. It is not written by him. It's written by someone else.
Nick Leopard.
Who did Dangerous Animals that came out this year, but the shark killing the ladies.
Yep, and that's it. Those are his only two movies so far.
And there was the issue. Dun, dun, dun. Now, you can tell that it wasn't written by Perkins, and that's all I'm going to say about that. I had to pause because I wanted to add more to that. But, yeah, so I was waiting for a while for this one, and I have mixed feelings. Go ahead, you go. Oh, it stars Tatiana Maslany and Rossif Sutherland, who
Donald Sutherland's son.
Donald Sutherland's son. I didn't even know. I had no idea. I was like, wait, is he part of the Sutherlands?
Yes, he is. So this one starts off with the guy, Rossif Sutherland. He plays a guy named Malcolm, taking his girlfriend to his remote cabin out in the woods. Never a good sign. And they go there, and it gets awkward immediately because his cousin shows up with a weird girl that doesn't speak English. That, is one of those like, oh, I'm dating her because she's a model, but I don't need to talk to her because she doesn't speak any English and I don't speak any, Ukrainian or whatever. And they show up together, and they make things real awkward. And they're like, oh, did you eat the cake? Because the housekeeper left some cake, huh?
Now, let's talk about this cake. Now, okay, are we going to do spoilers? Let's just, before we get into further in, well, we'll see what happens. But that's still undecided. The cake box, okay, it is like cardboard, like, like a cake box, like normal. And it has a string. It looks like a cake box you would get from like a baker from an independent, bakery. And it has like the little red and white string wrapped around. The thing that's a no for me when I see the cake box is there just happens to be random weird chocolate smear, like 4-finger chocolate smear on top of the cake box. What the fuck is that about? Right there, I'm going to tell you no, okay? And you're getting the feel from the couple that there might be some uneasiness coming from the woman. You don't really know why. Their interactions are very strange. Like the way that they interact with one another.
Yeah, something's off right away. You can tell there's some like tension there. At first I thought it was going to be like she was pushing him for marriage and he wasn't into it, but that wasn't what it was.
And then they locked themselves away in the middle of nowhere, and the cabin is gorgeous and the scenery is gorgeous, but in all the gorgeousness, it's like, oh, there's going to be terrible horrors that are going to be.
Yeah, the prettier the scenery, the worse the monster that's coming for you.
And the whole thing, like, you're thinking the guy's a good guy. Like, he's like, okay, he's loving, he's very sweet on her, even though she's kind of weird. There's a very, Osgood Perkins, he's so good at creating, like, the atmosphere and the details and just the smallest thing of where he wants. He's using obviously the camera as his eye and where he wants the audience to follow that. And when they're in the car, they're talking and they're having that conversation, and they're, he's holding her hand, and it's, just a very normal couple interaction. And then he takes his hand away from her, and she seems kind of relieved. It's a weird interaction, and the close-up of her hand already is like putting like the little crumbs of like, okay, there's something more here. We don't know what's really going on.
They may be on the verge of breaking up with this weekend.
It's not good. And then there's a whole conversation she has with her friend. And the friend, it's pussyfooting around, but basically is just telling her, that there's another woman, basically. Or she's the other woman.
Yeah.
Because he's been weird, and they've been together for like a year-ish.
And, it's one of those things of, there's obviously, she knows something's going on because he's the way he's acting is the way a married guy would act when he's got a side girlfriend.
Yeah, he's real sus. When he brings up the cake as soon, like, actually she sees the cake and she's like, what's up with this cake? Because it's not on the table at first. It's like on the back of a bike. It's in a weird like area. Yeah, when she first sees the cake, it's not on the table. It's like in the like hallway area. It's not until later that you see the cake on the counter.
Oh, okay.
But nevertheless, she's talking. He's off in another part of the house, and she's looking at this cake, and she's asking about it. Oh yeah, my housekeeper made a cake or whatever. And then later on, he brings up the cake again, and then he's like, oh, here's the cake, and he cuts the piece of cake for her, and she's like, I'm not really into chocolate. She already, when she first saw the cake and asked him about it, she's like, I don't want to eat that. I don't know what's in that box, but I don't. There's a lot. The movie felt for me like it was way longer than what it actually was. The pacing of the film is not great. It's a slow burn. And I don't think it pays off. It does and it doesn't. I have a lot of questions, but I think it's because there's a lot of things that are going against the movie. One, this is not a movie that was fully written and ready to go when they began the movie. They literally were writing the movie as the movie was going, because it was a spur of the moment. Oh shit, we all like each other. Why don't we just get together? We're already here. We have to kill time. We're in Canada, which is how they were able to film something, because they're Canadian actors and they were in Canada. So that was totally not going through the whole Hollywood thing that was happening. There was two separate. So that's why we have obviously Tatiana, we have Rossif, he's a Canadian actor, and they're filming in Vancouver. So you're thrown in an Airbnb house, and it's literally a one set thing. You're in this house and you're in the car. That's it. No one else, they're not going anywhere else. I mean, outside, so. But
not even that far outside. It's kind of down to the stream by the house, and that's it.
Yeah. So it's not like they stop at a little village or whatever, but it's basically a one set situation. Yeah. So, the writing is not good. There's a lot of holes for me in the writing. The acting, great. Tatiana does an amazing job. Rossif, they both do. The actors are fantastic. The scenery speaks for itself. That's a story on its own. The house, the things you come in to see later on, creepy. Not gonna. The creep factor is there. I'm not saying the movie's not creepy, but I need a little more. You kind of just randomly threw. It was just throw up at the end, like from the last 20 minutes of the movie.
And I feel like this movie is like an hour and 40 minutes, and it could have been an hour and 20, and it would have been fine.
There was no reason for it to be an hour and 40 minutes.
They feel like it was 20 minutes out easily, and maybe 5 to 10 more minutes of that.
There was a lot of dream sequences. There was a lot of let me be artsy. Let me show you. You know what I want to do? I want to take the scenes where she's dreaming and where it's nonsensical bullshit, like an up close thing of a stream of water, and I want to make it into a 9 Inch Nails video, because it was literally a 9 Inch Nails video from the 90s. That literally is exactly what it was. We didn't need all of that. Maybe a little bit, because it's a descent into madness. For some reason, that's how they're describing this film. I thought beforehand maybe it was going to be kind of like the wallpaper, like the woman was losing her mind, and we were in that whole thing. But there's something underlying being said about the relationships between man and a woman, maybe how, you can love and also hate someone at the same time, or not really know who you're with, kind of like you can be with someone and live with someone and live a life with them, but you don't truly know them, kind of thing.
Yeah, because you find out pretty quick. It seems like part of the tension with them might be the fact that, yeah, they really don't know each other that well, even though they've been going out for like a year.
Yeah. He's hiding a lot of stuff, and he's not really that open. And
the only thing she knows for sure is he has a cousin named Darren who seems a little obnoxious, and apparently has shown up before because obviously they recognized him when he showed up at the cabin with his non-English speaking girlfriend. And the only thing she was able to say was that cake tastes like shit.
Yeah, which I got the impression that she actually did know how to speak English, because she spoke English pretty well other parts of the movie. Mind you, they weren't massive monologues, but they were good enough, and you can understand what she was saying. I think she was playing the I don't know how to speak English, because if you don't really know, how to speak English, then you can't really have a conversation with someone. And if you don't like the person you're with and you're just getting paid to be with them, or you're whatever that was going on, she was just with them for the money or whatever, or the Molly, because he did say that she liked her some Molly, then I would be pretending I don't know English either. I want to talk to this guy. This guy's an asshole. Less stuff that you gotta say.
That could be. So that line from Better Off Dead about the less you speak in that house, the better off you are.
Exactly. Yeah, I wish there was more explanation on how there's a pact and how that pact came to be, what the things are, what's going on with whatever you may know. We don't really know if it's a demon, if it's a ghost, if it's a ghoul, if it's whatever it is. We don't really know. We didn't say whether it was going to be a spoiler or not, so I'm just going to throw that out there. We don't know, so we didn't really spoil anything. Obviously, it's a horror movie, so it's not a slasher-esque. It's not a slasher. So, but that whole atmosphere, the way that he uses the camera to like close in and make you feel you're isolated. You feel for her, and she's a fantastic actress. So she really I fell in love with her because, she's so charismatic in her weird, quirky way.
Yeah. And this guy knows how to, Rossif Sutherland, he knows how to play the aloof asshole. Because you get the whole time that he's talking to her, you get the feeling that he's vaguely talking down to her.
Yeah.
He's being condescending without being openly condescending, you just get that feeling. He's that guy he's the professor that looks down on you and is like, oh, really, you think that? Okay. Yeah, he gives you that kind of sense,
Yeah. Now, we've kept it pretty ambiguous, so this is the portion of the cast. If you do not want to know exactly what's going on, then you need to turn it off at this point. After this moment, we will be discussing the film in its entirety and how we truly feel about it.
I think we already know how we feel about it, but we're just going to be some spoilers involved here. Woo, 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 spoiler alert from this point on. Okay.
Now, okay, so he forces her to eat the cake, and the cake is already a weird thing. He literally, the forcing of the cake, she says she doesn't eat chocolate, she doesn't like chocolate, and he's like, just eat the cake, just eat the cake, just eat the cake. Here's the cake. He cuts a
slice and shoves it at her with the spoon, and
yeah, and it's already off-putting with him how badly he wants to eat the cake. And then they go to sleep. And then she has a weird fucking dream, and then she wakes up out of the dream, and she goes to the kitchen, and there's the fucking cake, and she's looking at the cake, and then she brings the phone out, she's inspecting the cake closely, she kind of digs into it with her bare hands. I don't know what the fuck it was. Was it raspberry jelly? Was it cherry jelly? Was it blood? Was it a finger? What was it? I don't know what it was, but it was weird. And then she just starts fucking gobbling that shit. And as she's eating it, is it the women screaming? There's visuals. It's fucked up. And it's just very strange. And then, boom.
Next morning, she's up early and she has been drawing women's faces on paper all night long.
Yeah, if you follow them if you follow Neon on TikTok. It is the scene of her doodling, where she's doodling for like, they put it on there for like 2 hours of her doodling in a loop. It's that. And he wakes up and he's like, oh, hi.
You're awake.
You're awake. What are you doing? And she's like, nothing. Love you. Kisses. Whatever. And she's being all lovey-dovey. And, you know, she's just drawing. And he's like, okay. So he walks into the kitchen. He looks at the garbage can. And the whole cake is gone. There's like 2 fucking crumbs like hanging on the side of the bag. And he's like, huh. And then all of a sudden he has to leave because one of his patients, who's like in an induced coma, is coming out of coma that day, and he checks on his phone. He's like, oh yeah, you know, I'm just checking up on my patient. And then a little while after, he's like, oh fuck, I gotta go, I gotta call, and I gotta go into the city. He disappears. And
that's, you know, that's when the real creepy shit starts happening to her.
Yeah, because she ate the cake, and you're thinking, okay, this cake was laced with something weird, right?
And she got way more than she was supposed to.
Yeah, she starts seeing, kind of before that, you see the model girl. She's trying to catch an Uber in the morning. This is before they woke up, kind of. We kind of skipped that part. And she gets attacked by something in the fucking woods. So then you just think, okay, she's dead. Like, the model girl's dead, right? Then here she is in the kitchen. And she's sitting in the chair, and she's looking at them. The girl's like, how did you get here? Like, how did you get inside? What are you? Are you inside? And she's like, yeah, I'm inside now. And you're like, okay.
And then it cuts back up the camera a little bit, and there's like a slightly smaller version of the model girl sitting in the chair across from her. Like, they just like said, shrink her by 30%. And she's just sitting there like, yeah, I'm inside all the time now. And you're like, no, it's time for an Uber.
And when they shrunk her down, her features are all weird, and she looks just really strange. Obviously, besides the fact that she was shrunk, it was just like literally just
it was like they just literally did like a bad Photoshop shrinking her.
Yeah, it's really creepy. And then, you know, there's a whole interaction between them, and she says, oh, it's the children. The children want you here. She says something about the fucking children.
Yeah.
And, she, you know, of course, Tatiana's like, what the fuck? Liz is her name in the movie. Liz is like, what the hell's going on? And throughout the day, she's just seeing random weird shit.
Yeah, and there's creepier and creepier shit happening behind her that she's not seeing.
Yeah, and then there's a lady with a bag over her head with flies coming out of the bag standing in the kitchen, and behind her is the fucking cake box, again, which has now a heart, which earlier in the movie, Tatiana, when she got there, she did one of those, she was just looking out the window while what's-his-face was unpacking, you know, with the kitchen stuff, I guess, and she kind of like puts her breath on the window, and she makes a little heart. And that happens 3 times in the movie. She does it the second time we see the heart. She's taking a bath, and the entity or whatever it is blows the same thing on the window behind her, makes the heart, and then we see the heart again in the on the box. So there's 3 hearts, which I feel, obviously you don't know this while you're watching it, but now that I'm talking about and thinking about it, that kind of adds, like, leads to what she finds out later about what's going on. So after all the creepy imagery and the freaking annoying cousin comes back with a bottle of liquor, and he's surprised that she's there, and
he's like, he just left you here alone? Where's he at? Because I brought a bottle of liquor to celebrate.
Exactly, yeah.
And you're like, what are you guys celebrating? He doesn't really say. And then he goes up. She's like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. So she's hiding in the bathroom. She's freaking the fuck out because she doesn't want this guy in the house. It's weird. He's weird. She's alone. You know, anything can happen. She doesn't know this man. And he's a big, you know, asshole. So she's having her typical woman. I feel like that was exactly something I would have do. You're in the bathroom freaking the fuck out, right? And she's in there for a long time, you know. And while that's happening,
He's just pulling out a butcher knife and walking up the stairs. Not a butcher knife, but a
meat
cleaver.
He's got the meat cleaver and he's heading upstairs.
Yeah, they're inching forward upstairs, but he doesn't get more than halfway until you see her back in the bathroom again, and she's trying to like hear through the door, and then all of a sudden it goes back to the stairs, and he's upside down, and his head is like literally like held on with like one piece of fucking skin on his body.
He's hanging on by a hangnail, basically.
And he gets just swooped away. We never see him again. Don't know where that body went. What happened to that?
So eventually the guy comes back, and he's also very surprised that she's up. And
she's there.
That she's there, yeah. And that he eventually just tells her, look, you were only supposed to eat a piece of that cake, and you got up and ate the whole thing. This has never happened before. Normally, you just eat the cake and the person goes to sleep and then everything's fine. And he explains that he's been doing this now for a couple of 100 years.
200 years to be exact.
And he brings them back there, he feeds them the cake, and then they are taken away as a sacrifice and eaten by these. They're not necessarily their body eaten, but their spirit, their soul, whatever, is eaten by these creatures.
Ambiguous. They're just taken over. They're gone.
And in return, that's how him and his cousin stay alive all this time and stay young.
Now, I'm going to give you a little bit, if you've never seen any Osgood Perkins movies, if you have no idea, Osgood Perkins did a movie, Hansel and Gretel. He loves him
it was Gretel and Hansel.
Yes, Gretel and Hansel. So sorry. Gretel and Hansel.
And the Blackcoat's daughter.
The Blackcoat's daughter.
He loves some long scenes of like scenery and creepiness happening in the background.
No, he does. But I was focusing more on the Hansel and Gretel because it is a fable. It is a story. And in the monologue that Rossif delivers, he tells a story of the story that if you are a person that reads those kind of things, you're going to be very familiar with the story of the fisherman and the fish. The fisherman catches the fish talks and asks him to have him throw back in the lake. And of course the fisherman's like, no, what's it for me? And the fish gives him 3 wishes. Now, he's very vague. He tells the girl the story that he's just telling the story, right? So then in telling of the story, he goes and says when he was a child, him and his cousin happened to be on their land, and they were like sweeping their land, like protecting their land. And they saw this woman who looked very much like Liz dancing. And they had seen her before dancing naked under the moon, and that was something you just didn't do. So they saw her again, and there she was, and she was with child. And they show you, the audience is watching this flashback or this explanation as he's talking about it. You're seeing it happen. And the older kid, which is Rossif, he has a gun, and they shoot this woman. And they kind of shoot her like you would shoot an animal. You're not shooting to kill, you're shooting a wound, because they probably like wound her like leg or something, because they drag her back to the freaking barn where, there's the...
They put her in the pigsty, basically.
Pigsty, yeah. And she gives birth to, we don't know.
To something.
We don't know.
He even said, I'm not sure exactly what it was she gave birth to.
Yeah, he doesn't know. And we don't know as the audience, and we'll never know. Problem number 1. We don't know what the hell it is. And it's been 200 years. So did she make a pact with the devil? Was she a witch? Were they demons? Did the children die and they became ghosts? We don't know.
All he says is, if they don't get fed for a while, they start to get real loud and obnoxious, and it starts to bother the neighbors. So when that happens, we have to bring some people out here to feed them. And
later on, you see kind of like dates of when this is happening. All of Ross's relationships are a year long, and it's to the day. The one box, because you see in perfect view Liz's box, and it's a box of their belongings, whatever they bought to the cabin.
Yeah, he keeps a little bit of their stuff,
like a serial killer. Okay.
Yep.
And hers says November 12th.
Yeah, it says like 2023 on it.
Yes, and then it says November 13th. Hers is the one that's not to the day, because he told her during this whole explanation, I should have known something like this would happen because you are special. Because she looked like the mother. She looked like the woman from 200 years ago that they killed and how they got into this mess. What I don't understand, and I was like racking my brain, why would these things grant them these wishes? And what were the wishes? The wishes were immortality.
Honestly, one of them was long life, but it's one of those things that you get your eternal life, but you gotta keep feeding them.
Yeah, immortality, money. Because the whole thing of him being a doctor was a ruse. He wasn't really a doctor.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
We don't know what it was, so we don't know what the wishes were, or he just told the story. Did he tell the story just for the shit of it, just to whatever, did
he Kaiser Soze it and just make up the whole thing?
Exactly, or was the story of the wishes kind of like a simple way to tell her, like, this is what happened? Because for me, you just say, yeah, they didn't want us to kill him, so they didn't want, they killed the mom, right, because they put the gun to her head, but they wanted to survive, so they were like, hey, don't kill us, we'll grant you 3 wishes if you let us live, and you'll be immortal,
or just one wish or something.
But you're gonna have to keep us alive in order for you to live forever, but you're gonna have to give us some sacrifices. You're gonna have to feed us
at least once a year. You're gonna have to feed us.
Yeah, so that's a whole thing, and I don't think it was once a year. I think that it was probably a year's because the box on top of hers was from like the 80s. It was like 88 to 89 or something. So we don't really know how often they were going out there. And then I'm like, it couldn't have been every single year, because women just vanishing every single year, that's kind of weird. Are they changing their names? She was very, from the get-go, Liz always said, oh, it's the whatever Whitebridge boys or whatever the hell their last name is. Like, they were prestigious or they had money. So he wasn't really gonna be able to understand because he was so out of touch. And she was just a lonely, like, I'm just an artist trying to get by. I didn't have a silver spoon kind of thing. You get that in their discussions, the way that they talk to one another, the things that she says, Breakbridge boys or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
And she says it several times in the movie. So, is he constantly having to change his identity? You're not going to get any of these answers. If you're a person that's like, I'm going to need a little more information about how it got to this and what was the pact and, how often were these things fed and what these things were, you're not getting it here. But what you are going to get is you're going to get some visually disturbing bullshit, okay? Yeah. Because let me tell you, that shit was creepy and I did not like any of it. Especially the one... So, going back to the 3 hearts, there were 3 children that were born. And... each kid, there's like a cat, like or an animal, like crying in the background, screaming, and it really freaked me the fuck out. It really freaked me out as I'm talking about these kids who are not babies. They kind of they're I don't even know what the fuck they look like, but one of them has like multiple faces. Now this is what I interpreted. Okay. You see the 3 at first. It's the one with the bag on the head, the one that's coming, the first one that showed itself, the one coming down the stairs, and then the other one with the multiple faces, right? Then when later on during the end scene, like when that scene kind of like ends, you see like way more than just them. So I'm like, it's the other women that are there. Like their souls are like trapped there and it's the other woman. Then I thought, oh, are the other women the faces?
That's what I took it as, is the other women were the faces, right? On that one. Yeah.
That's what I took it as, because and they're like caressing Liz and you're like, oh, but the movie doesn't end. And the part you think the movie's gonna end, it's like it doesn't end. And this is where I was like, well, they killed the guy and they haven't killed him in 200 years, the cousin. So something was up, and that's before you know that Liz actually looks like, and they even go back because she had found a locket in the river like earlier, and when she opened the locket, she sees something, but the audience doesn't see it until later when it's revealed that the image in the locket is a picture of her from like 200 years ago. It's not her, it's
someone else that looks a whole lot like her.
And they're gonna keep her quote unquote alive because she's mother, and they were not gonna let them take another mother away from them.
Yep.
So you don't really know what the fuck is going on now. Going on Reddit, because people, they see the movie, they go directly on edit. A lot of people are obsessed with, and this is just such a random thing I have to mention, when he is putting all of Liz's things in the box, he puts on her favorite song. He's listening to her song, which while that's playing, she's like screaming her head off because she's being like caressed by her children in the basement, and he doesn't want to hear that because quote unquote that's when they're supposed to be like killing her, right? And he puts on these little, like, I call them the Dracula glasses. They're like little spectacles, little mini sunglasses. People are obsessed with the mini sunglasses. They want to know where to get the mini sunglasses. A lot of people were like, they were laughing at that point because they were like, what is wrong? What is up with these sunglasses? They're so small. Because obviously, Rossif has like a good sized head, and these glasses were like, look like for a child.
He put them on for a little bit, then just took them right back off.
Yeah, because they belong to her. So he was just like, those were like his mementos or whatever, and he was just, before he put them in the box forever. So I just had to mention the glasses. So yes, so you're like, okay, so he goes to bed, and when he wakes up, his hands are like all fucked up, and you're right off the bat, because it's dark, you're like, oh, his hands are older, he's older. I'm like, something happened, and he lost the pack, and now he's gonna age like rapidly.
And he sure does.
He looks real, and then when you see him again, he's hog-tied, hanging down, upside down from a tree, and there, you don't really see at that point, I don't remember if you see the jar at first. You just see him. And on a distance, who does he see? It's Liz. And she's coming over with a nice piece of chocolate cake for him.
Yep. And she makes him eat it. And then she promptly shoves his head in a giant jar of honey and just leaves him.
Yeah, he gets like dipped down by who knows, because she doesn't physically do it. It just happens. Yeah. Now, what is up with that? They did have the mom. So when they show you the scene where the mom, they come into the barn, she's given birth, you see they put a rifle to her head, and then off screen, like you hear that there's a gunshot. She got shot through the head. When Liz is down with the children in the basement, there's a jar full of honey, and at first you couldn't see, very Nine Inch Nails, was just like liquid, and it's weird imagery, and like what the fuck is in the jar, until they pull it out. It's a long-haired black braid, and at the end of the black braid, there's a decapitated head who has a hole through the head. And
so obviously they cut the mom's head off and put it in that jar 200 years ago and preserved it.
Yes.
And then she just did the same to him.
Yeah, so what is that about?
Yeah, and then that's literally the end of the movie.
The end. And you're like, what? And I don't know. Now, I'm going to say, for something that was written in a very short amount of time, and something that was not planned, okay, yeah, the movie could have been. We have seen movies that are a lot worse, okay? And I'm not saying this movie is like the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not, and everyone that's out there is like, oh, this is Osgood. A lot of people either don't like the movie. You got a 50-50. You got people that like it, you got a lot of people that don't like it. The people that are like, oh, this is one of Osgood's, not his best movie. It's not really his movie. I mean, because he didn't write it. So I'm not going to say, I'm not counting this one against him. He directed it. and he did a great job on that. But the story, no. I'm excited to see Osgood Perkins' next movie that he actually writes.
I'll give this one 2 knives. It's pretty. The acting is good. The twist is interesting because, I mean, you kind of saw it coming, but at the same time, it's still interesting. So it's not a total wash, but it's definitely too long.
It's too long. It's very ambiguous. There's not any kind. You're just supposed to take it for what it is. And if you're gonna give me this long, like if you're gonna give me fables, if you're gonna give me some kind of supernatural element, I'm gonna need a little bit more. I don't need a whole thing. I just need a one-liner or a flashback, something to be like, okay, this is what, because we don't know if Liz is truly dead. Is she alive? Is she just is she gonna bring more souls to them? Are they satiated because she's there?
Yeah.
What is she gonna do as the role as the mother? How is she gonna maintain this house? It's not her house. I have a lot of questions. Mind you, does that matter? I guess not, but
no.
Here we are. I'm gonna give it 2.5 knives because there's a lot of imagery on there that it's haunting, and it is very creepy, and I have not seen anything like that yet, and I hope to never see that again. It gave me kind of like creatures or whatever you want to call them from like a fever dream of like Clive Barker. It was very Clive Barker-esque, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Something you would see maybe like
the kind of disturbing body horror of his.
Super disturbing. I don't like it. It was creepy. But 2.5 knives for me. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Jump Scare, the horror podcast. Stay tuned to the horror. Stay out of cabins.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.